that,
May I
that,
ask
that.
a question?
Yeah, let's go.
Uh, okay. So I guess we can also get Lauren's point of view from this because I follow both of you on Instagram and I remember you posted this story of you like practicing or like always practicing yourself and like how just catching yourself like being I don't know out of structure I guess for the lack of a better term but like for me I'm such a very like giggly person and I know I have to work on that sometimes like sometimes when I'm nervous I can just like be like what you were saying like kind of like lightheaded but at the same time that's also my personality and Lauren was also talking about like being weird being your weird self and allowing yourself to be that because like so many other people are kind of like I don't know like blank and just like very rigid so how do you balance that like how do you balance having your personality shine and being your weird self but also at the same time like being this polished elegant woman that you want to be because I feel like I'm in the middle.
I'm actually the same. I'm also Asian. I'm 75% Asian. So I'm also really giggly. But if you go through my stories, you'll see a lot me having this gesture, you know? And this is a really, really adorable gesture that you can have. And when you're giggling, in order to not to be perceived nervous, just work on grounding yourself and adapting the elegant body language because elegant body language will soothe you, will ground you, will slow you down in general. And regarding giggling, don't think of giggling as something bad. It is adorable, it is cute, it is genuine. Not a lot of people can actually love from the bottom of their heart, and not a lot of women are feminine nowadays. And you giggling, I think it can um, lighten up every room and use it as your, you know, um, your unique feature. She's the one, she giggles in a really cute way, right? And that's you in general. Um, but how to balance that out in order to wait, do you giggle when you're nervous or just in general a lot?
Just in general and also like how feminine women are playful but also there's this elegant side. Just in general
Mm.
I think that's my personality.
It might be your personality or it might be already protective mechanism because you might feel nervous all the time and maybe not grounded and you're using it in order to fill in the pauses or because you're nervous. So instead of focusing on um, getting rid of the giggle, focus on why you giggle in general, and also maybe practice being okay with pauses and silences because elegant women respect silence and they're absolutely okay with just being sitting, respecting silence. If a man is not talking in front of her, then she's just looking at him, not nervously, just looking. And it's reaching that level of confidence when you're okay with silence. Most people, I know American, by the way, I know that I had a friend, no, a male colleague. He told me he was Canadian, and then he said Canadian people are really okay with the silence and not speaking or not filling in the pauses, and then American people they're always trying to fill in the silences. I said, really? And they said, yeah. So maybe it's the cultural thing as well. Yeah, Lauren.
How many times are you guys talking with someone and then you end the conversation with, so yeah, and yeah, so yeah, because
All the time? I wish not, but yeah, there I did.
that's something I have taught myself, like these incremental steps towards becoming. Can you hear my dog?
No.
Oh, she is very vocal right next to me. That's something that I catch myself doing is noticing when I'm coming to the end of my sentence and being okay with the finality of what I'm saying without needing a response immediately and not ending with, so yeah,
Yeah, because it is
okay practices.
yeah, it is a sign of people who are not okay with silence. And if you talk to a lot of wealthy people, they are so okay with just ending their sentence and just sitting and letting you, you know, get that silence in, sink it in, what you just said. By allowing the silence to come into the room, you allow the other person to digest what you just said, right? So honor it in a way. And how you practice it, every time that you catch yourself doing that, you're like, hmm, and then it'll it'll pass. It shall pass. But in general, grounding yourself, yoga, breath work, um, what the self-presentation um, module. I haven't opened it yet, but the voice repeating after a celebrity or someone who you like, in the moment.
Mhm.
And so that's how, for example, I learned English. I was repeating after the films, but at the same time, my character trait is I choose each and every single word carefully. First of all, because I'm this kind of person, and I want the interlocutor in front of me to get the right gist of what I want, what I'm talking about. That's why I'm choosing every single word. And that's why sometimes I can take time in choosing the word. And I'm thinking. And also, English is my second language. So sometimes I'll be speaking a bit slower, but that's good for me. Yeah. Let's go. I just caught myself. It happens. Okay. Do you
Also,
have any questions?
I wanted to add on to that is it might just also be living in Miami where people tend to have an influencer accent. But I notice I go to like an influencer event or I go to an event where there's lots of women and it's an incredibly high energy conversation. We're like, oh my God, just like this back and forth of talking super fast. And that's typically also where the conversation ends with like, and so yeah, and so yeah, and so yeah, and so yeah. You're just like, where's the intelligence in this conversation? And I notice I get caught up in that and I like will exhale. I'll take a very obvious exhale and then respond. Like I'll just take
Mm-hmm.
to process everything that has been said. She told me about this trip that she went on, this guy that she's talking to, whatever it is. And then I'll kind of reground myself in the conversation to be able to respond less hyper, I would is the adjective that I would use.
Yeah.
Also another practice. I would say that elegance is a very large practice of being self-aware, like incredibly, incredibly aware of yourself.
Also, I would recommend to just unsubscribe and unfollow absolutely any any influencer, any woman that is talking like this, that is high pitched, and they have this interesting mannerism, and they're, talking like this, and they're doing this influencer, movements, and they're strange, and they have this Gen Z thing going on, and you consume this every day and you become that. Right. And that's why whenever I see it on the internet, I'm not on TikTok, by the way, because TikTok is banned in Russia. And so um, I'm okay with that. So track who you follow and follow only people that are elegant and consume only elegant content or elegant people. Honestly, when I go on Instagram, for example, I only watch up to 10 people that I'm interested in, and that's it. So on YouTube, I don't even remember the last time that I was on YouTube, but
Can I ask a question?
Let's go.
Now I interrupted your silence, sorry.
No, 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 no.
What are like 5 or 10 hand gestures that you recommend? Because I've started kind of speaking more with my hands because to kind of make what you're saying, reinforce what you're saying, or also making it more interesting. Now, I understand, like, I don't do like this, but what are like hand gestures that you would recommend?
The first thing that I would recommend is when you're hand gesturing, try to not do this, do this,
Modeling
right?
with
So when you're,
Barbie hands.
yes, Barbie hands. So when you're gesturing, try to keep your fingers close to yourself, because when you do that, and sometimes with our fingers are plump. For example, my fingers are quite plump, right? But when you do this, they become thinner. So when you're talking, they should be a little bit together, right? That's the one thing. Another thing is, I noticed a lot of women when they talk, especially,
Hopping with Barbie hands. I want to see your hand.
I noticed that.
No, no, I'm serious. Everyone practice right now. And good day to you too. Goodbye. Farewell.
Okay.
Well done.
Mhm. Ladina, in what industry are you working in?
Architecture. So I was an architect and building site manager. There I didn't have a lot of elegant people around me. And now I have a podcast where I interview architects and people in the sustainable architecture field.
Beautiful. Okay. Another one, praying gesture. So when you want someone to give you something, when you're asking for something, when you are saying thank you, um, you can use a praying gesture, like thank you. Honestly, thank you. People don't do this, but this is a very humbling gesture. And when you're around wealthy people, you notice they're raw and so humble. And the wealthier the person is, the more successful the person is, the more appreciative they are of everything, if you're genuine, especially. And yeah, they do this as well. The second thing. Then third thing, when talking, I noticed that a lot of women in Europe and America, they do this. This is really harsh. So maybe, and I noticed, Ladina, you also do this when you were talking. So maybe if you are comfortable with this, just try to soften the movements. Just slow down a little bit when you're talking and when you're using this movement, because it's okay to make our hands touch together in this way, but think of, instead of creating this strange, form, think of more straight and elegant lines that you're creating with your body, right? Instead of, not knowing where to place your hands, maybe just create this lock. Wait. So it's cleaner. Yeah, think of clean movements. So, right? But I'm showing it here because it's seen, but I'm going to show you like this. So when we're talking, I want you to think of neat lines, right? I want you to look at me and don't look at me. Uh, Try to see lines and think of geometry. What lines do you see my body is making? And I want you to here, I want it to be as neat as possible. And in order to do that, you'll need to practice it in general. But in order to do that, you have to adapt a mindset of as if you are creating a sculpture, and you're carving out lines, and those lines has to be smooth but rather straight, right? And I talk about it in Elegance 101 in the feminine way. So I teach my girls how to train their eyes to see geometry and to see lines instead of body parts, right? So when you would be looking at my arm, you won't see the arm, you'll see the shape here in the line. And we talk about, tilting and crossing and etc. So yeah, that's that. That was what, two, three? Which one? Third, second, third. Okay. Fourth one. Okay. Fourth one. When talking, a lot of women are afraid to just use and touch their face in general, their body, right? So depending on who you're talking to, sometimes you can listen to people like this. This is incredibly feminine, touching a little bit your face, right? But we cannot mhm. We cannot forget about our posture in general, right? Our spine, and also okay, and also we cannot forget about the fact that I don't want you to place your head on your arms too much. We cannot make it lazy, right? Never lazy. It's just a symbolic thing that we're touching our face. It's just symbolic. We never put any pressure on our hand.
Are you
It's
doing this at, oops, sorry.
yeah, let's go, let's go, let's go.
Are you doing this at like a dinner table? What is the setting for this gesture?
This whenever you're listening to someone, but at the dinner table, we cannot do that while we're eating because we cannot place our elbows at the dinner table, right? But we can do it before the food is there, right? So when we are maybe having a glass of wine, or after the food and the plates were already taken and we're having some drinks. So we can do that while we're listening to someone, or when we are at a lounge, or when we are standing. When we are standing, we can place our hand like this and listen to someone, right? And also, this creates a little bit of barrier for you. If someone who you're speaking to, you're not really comfortable talking to them, or you won't intentionally create a barrier, you can just place it, like this and do this. Or if you're okay, you're listening like this, depending on the kind of mood that you want to show to the person. If you're interested, I don't know, in a man and you want to have this kind of vibe, yeah, okay, tell me. Tell me. What do you want to say? And then you're just sitting like this, a little bit more open body language. So